The anger, the distance between what you expected and what arrived. Opener. This is not a solution. It's not a 5-step plan to fix your life. It's just the truth about something you've been carrying in silence. You didn't lose your way. You just ran out of road. This is not about the anger you show. This is about the kind that stays quiet, the kind that does not raise its voice, does not slam doors, does not make a scene, the kind that sits somewhere underneath everything else and has been sitting there for a long time, waiting to be named. You have probably called it other things: stress, frustration, being tired, that feeling of something being slightly wrong without being able to say exactly what. But if you stay with it long enough, if you get quiet enough to actually listen to it, what you find underneath all those other names is almost always the same thing. Something did not go the way it was supposed to, and part of you has been keeping count ever since. Part 1. The anger. You did not name it does not look like anger. That is the first thing worth saying. The anger that most people carry quietly does not look like what we think anger looks like. It does not come out in raised voices or slammed doors or things said in the heat of a moment. It comes out in other ways. In the heaviness of a Monday morning that has nothing to do with being tired. In the way a small inconvenience lands harder than it should. In the detachment that creeps in when you have been around people you love and still felt completely alone. In the moments where you realize you have stopped expecting things to go well before they have even started. That is what quiet anger looks like from the inside. Not a feeling that arrives and announces itself. A climate that has been there so long it starts to feel like just the way things are. You have probably given it other names over the years. Stress was one of them. Exhaustion was another. Being overwhelmed. Being burnt out. Being someone who just needs a holiday. Being someone who is maybe a little too sensitive. Being someone who needs to learn to let things go. These are all real things that happen to people. And maybe some of them have been true for you at different points. But they are also, sometimes, the names we give to something we do not quite have the language for. The something that sits underneath the stress, underneath the tiredness, underneath the going through the motions. The thing that has been keeping quiet for a long time and has been mistaken over and over for something smaller than it is. Anger has a reputation problem. In most of the places most people grow up, anger is the emotion you are not supposed to have. Not because it does not exist, but because it is the one that gets called difficult, unrealistic, unreasonable, too much. The person who is visibly angry is the person in the room that everyone else quietly decides is the problem. So people learn early and thoroughly to put it somewhere else, to convert it into something more socially acceptable, something quieter, something that does not require anyone else to respond or adjust or take responsibility. And the conversion is so practiced, so automatic, that after a while, most people genuinely cannot tell the difference between the original feeling and the version they replaced it with. Part 2. Where it lives. It lives in the body before it lives anywhere else. The jaw that is always slightly too tight. The shoulders that never fully drop. The sleep that does not restore the way sleep is supposed to. The physical tiredness that is not connected to how much you have done, but to how long you have been holding something without putting it down. These are not random symptoms. They are the body doing what bodies do when they are asked to carry something that has not been acknowledged, holding it quietly, making room for it without ever getting to set it down. It lives in the way you have started to pull back. Not dramatically, not in a way most people would notice, but in the small ways that accumulate over time. The conversations you stopped trying to have because they never went anywhere. The things you stopped saying because saying them changed nothing. The enthusiasm that got quieter without anyone asking where it went. The version of you that used to reach toward things, toward people, toward possibilities, that has been reaching a little less, until reaching started to feel like something that only ever cost you something and rarely gave anything back. And it lives in the expectations you have quietly retired. There are things you used to hope for that you do not hope for anymore. Not because you made a decision to stop, but because hoping and not getting started to feel worse than not hoping in the first place. So the hopes got smaller, quieter, more guarded, and the part of you that stopped hoping did not disappear. It just started keeping a different kind of track, not of what might happen, but of everything that did not. Part 3. The expectation. Underneath, the human brain operates as a prediction machine. The brain is a prediction machine. Its entire job, underneath everything else it does, is to build models of how the world is supposed to work and then constantly compare incoming information against those models. When what arrives matches what was predicted, the system runs smoothly. When what arrives does not match, the system flags a discrepancy. And that discrepancy is not neutral information. It has an emotional charge. That charge can show up as surprise, as sadness, as withdrawal, or as anger. The anger is not a personality flaw, it is a signal. A precise biological signal that something did not match the model. The most powerful expectations are the ones that were never spoken. Not because they were hidden, but because they seemed so self-evident that saying them out loud felt unnecessary. That effort would be recognized, that honesty would be met with honesty, that care given consistently would eventually be returned in some form, that the people who said they would be there would, in fact, be there when it mattered. These were not demands. They were assumptions so basic that they never got named. And when they did not get met, there was nothing to point to. No broken promise, no clear violation. Just a gap between what seemed like it should have been and what was. And in that gap, the counting began. The anger you are carrying right now is not about one thing. It is almost never about one thing. The moment that finally surfaces it, the comment that lands wrong, the plan that falls through, the person who does not show up in the way you needed, that is rarely the actual source. It is just the moment when the receipt finally prints. And the receipt is long because it has been accumulating for a long time, quietly, without being acknowledged, without being addressed, without anyone asking whether the balance had gotten too heavy to carry, without it starting to show. Part 4. What it has been carrying. If you try to trace it back, you will probably find it goes further than you thought. There is usually a version of this that started much earlier than the most recent example, a dynamic that was established long before it became visible. A pattern of something not quite matching what was expected that repeated itself in different forms across different relationships, different settings, different versions of what life was supposed to look like. And each time the mismatch happened, something was added to what was being carried, without a name, without a place to put it, just folded in with everything else and taken along. When the source of the anger is not clear, or when expressing it toward the outside was not safe, it tends to turn inward. And anger that turns inward has a particular quality. It becomes criticism of yourself, of your choices, your reactions, your inability to just be fine with things, your failure to manage this better than you are managing it. The question stops being what did not work in this situation and starts being what is wrong with me that I cannot handle this, which is a harder question to live with and a much lonelier one because it takes something that had an external source and makes it entirely your problem to solve. Carrying something without acknowledgement is expensive. Not in started as something you were managing has started to feel like just the texture of things. Like this is simply how life feels from the inside. Part 5. What the anger knows. The anger is not the problem. That is the thing that gets missed most often. Anger is information. It is precise, consistent, biological information about the gap between what was expected and what arrived. It knows exactly where something did not match. It knows exactly which expectation went unmet, which moment did not go the way it was supposed to, which version of events the system predicted, and which version actually showed up. The anger is not an overreaction. It is a very accurate reading of a discrepancy. The question worth sitting with is not how to make the anger go away. It is what the anger has been trying to tell you about the distance between what you expected and what you got. It does not mean something is wrong with you. Carrying anger quietly does not make someone difficult. It makes someone who has been doing a lot of invisible work for a long time without the work being visible. The anger is not evidence of a character flaw or an inability to cope or an unreasonable demand on the world. It is what happens when someone has been paying attention for a long time and the accounting has not balanced and nobody asked whether the weight had gotten too heavy. You did not become difficult. You became tired. And tired is a reasonable response to carrying something this long without anyone asking if you needed to put it down. I do not know what your particular version of this looks like. I do not know which expectations went unmet, or which moments added to the receipt, or how long the counting has been going on without a name. I do not know whether the source is something recent or something that has been accumulating for years. I do not know how much of it has turned inward or how much of it is still looking for somewhere to go. But I know this. The distance between what you expected and what arrived is real. It has a weight, and understanding where that weight comes from is not a small thing. Most people spend their whole lives calling it something else. The anger was never the problem. It was trying to show you where the problem was all along. Closing. I have my own version of this. Things I expected that did not arrive. Counts I kept without realizing I was keeping them. Moments where something small landed harder than it should have, and I told myself it was just stress, just tiredness, just one of those days. I am still figuring out what some of it is. I do not think that makes me unusual. But I have found that naming something changes how it feels to carry it. Not because naming it makes it smaller, because it makes it real. And real things can be looked at. Real things things have origins. Real things are not just the way life feels. You do not have to explain the balance sheet. If you want, just leave one word below. Not for me, but as a sign for the person scrolling after you who is still counting in the dark.
I thought it was stress, just another long week. Too many things, too little sleep.
That's what I called it every time it returned, because the truth underneath was harder to name.
And something small would land the wrong way.
A comment, a cancelled plan,
A moment that should have passed,
without leaving a mark.
and somehow it stayed with me.
For days.
Maybe
It's not this moment.
maybe it never was.
Maybe I've been carrying
More than I
realized. Maybe this feeling has been here for years.
waiting underneath.
Everything else. I started noticing how much I had stopped expecting. Not in one decision,
Not all at once,
just quietly,
one disappointment,
at a time.
until hoping less
Felt easier.
than hoping again. There are things I thought would happen,
Things I thought people would understand.
things I thought would eventually come back.
If I gave them enough time.
But some of them never did,
And some part of me kept count. Maybe it's not this moment.
maybe it never was.
Maybe I've been carrying.
More than I realized.
Maybe this feeling has been here for years.
Waiting underneath.
Everything else.
I don't think I noticed when it started, only that it stayed, turning itself into tiredness,
Into distance.
into the feeling
Something wasn't right.
without knowing why. The strange thing is,
I don't feel angry.
at least not in the way.
People talk about anger.
It feels more like
Something unfinished.
something still waiting
For an answer.
that never arrived.